But on any given night, I mean, on any given night here, Alabama can get knocked off because, as we said, it's a level playing field this year. I still like my pick in U of H, who's the winner that I picked in all three of my brackets. Yeah. I picked U of H. And the reason why I picked U of H, I think they're a better team than they were last year. They got guys that came back, give them more experience. And now here we are again. Your Sweet 16, you're right there, and it's in your grasp when you've been this close for the past 3 years. So it's kind of like, okay, it's time for y'all to take that step and just and win it all. Please don't pull a Hakeem Olajuwon.
Oh, no, not a kid. But I mean, like I said, it's gonna get really, really, really good. Like the tournament's gonna be good for the rest. Of course, once we get to the Elite Eight and in the Final Four, we already know what it's gonna be. But and of course, I don't know I'm sure you saw it, being us wonderful folks being from Houston, that once they shut the rodeo down, they immediately started flipping that thing, getting it ready for the Final Four. So
yep.
So you know what's coming. So
we might have to get some tickets just to be live on location inside.
Hey, anything is possible these days.
I'm trying to tell you.
Hey, we did that. So like I said, so we got past the madness. So from the madness, let's make our transition over to good old Hollywood. Let's get a little bit of let's talk about WrestleMania, man. Let's get this conversation going because
Hollywood.
You and I have been watching this. We've been watching these storylines build for months, arguably years at this point.
Yeah, the bloodline story has been years.
Yeah. The bloodline story is one of the best things we've seen since the very beginnings of like the ruthless aggression era, as far as like the stories go. Like to see this come together the way it did, starting with just Roman and Jay, and then just transition to the entire bloodline, bringing in their brother Solo Sikoa on top of all those things, like watching the internal struggle and turmoil, the ups and downs. Like this by itself was like an Oscar-winning performance by the entire bloodline.
Yep.
Because there was a point in time, remember when the Brock and Roman story went down, and Paul Heyman was kind of in between on both and didn't really know what he wanted to do. But then all of a sudden, when rubber met the road, he threw that belt in there so that Roman could knock that boy out one time, and then kept it pushing. Insert Cody Rhodes, who when the bloodline story started wasn't even in WWE. He was over there doing as one of the founding pillars with Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and all those guys, doing his thing over there. Now he's back. So of course, there's been rumors back and forth talking about they wanted to talk about splitting the belts. I actually read a story today that Triple H wants to do away completely with the Universal title and is talking about bringing back Big Gold.
Oh, good old Big Gold. Okay, so would that bring back a heavyweight and WWE championship, or just one?
It would essentially, I guess, de-unify would be the right word. It would essentially de-unify him, but then there's been a couple of different back and forth. Some stories have said, hey, we're going to keep them unified. Some say that we're going to de-unify them and go back, because a lot of people know this. Some people know this, some people don't. But USA was upset because they don't have a permanent champion. Like, they don't have a champion on Monday because the title's on one person and he doesn't make as many appearances on Raw as he does on SmackDown. Of course, Fox is happy. They got both the belts and the guy has the belt. So, of course, they're happy about it. But so there's some contract reasonings why it also has to happen. They're trying to figure out the right way to do it. My understanding initially, too, was when this first came about, the original plan was never to unify the titles. It just kind of happened that way. So basically, when Triple H finally came into the fold and took over, he kind of inherited a mess. And this is him trying to fix this. But on top of it, they also ended up with one of the best storylines in the last 15 years.
Well, I think part of this, too, is a lot of, maybe you or somebody else, I don't know, maybe you might not feel like this. I'm not sure, but I don't see a reason to de-unify it. I don't understand the point of de-unifying it, because I don't think the roster is as deep as it once was to have a brand split. So, Granted, now what they have been doing recently to keep both shows interesting, obviously, is crossing over the big stars that are going to fight at pay-per-views. and putting them on both shows just to keep it interesting, to make sure you watch both shows, which is a very, very good concept. So I propose that you have one WWE championship or heavyweight, whatever you want to call it, the big gold, and keep the Intercontinental Championship on one show and keep the United States Championship on another.
The problem you run into is you have too many overlapping stories when it comes to who's going to be up for the main of who's up for the big belt. It makes more sense to continue having the two belts. It's just, and you're right, the rosters are not as deep, but there are enough storylines to justify having two separate champions. Because on top of that, what we have to look at too is the story continues to, I think every day that I've been online, this story comes up, is that Roman Reigns is going to take an extended break after WrestleMania, and he's going to be out until SummerSlam, which means we've got to have somebody defending the championship, or at least somebody around, somebody relevant. So does that mean he's going to drop the belt at Mania? Not necessarily. But is it safe to say that he may drop one somehow, some way? Yeah, it's 100% in the cards. But how, I don't really know.
Right?
From my understanding, no, the way the card is set up, he's still fighting for both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're calling it the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. So yeah, he's fighting for.
Okay, really, I get it. Okay,
yeah, I got it. So let's go down let's go down the match card. Let's kind of take a look at some of this, because some of these stories have been building up pretty dope. So of course, right off top, they're going to talk about Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul, a story that's been slow building, really, because it kind of came out of nowhere, because it started with Logan Paul and The Miz. We saw that. That was not a bad little, like, they started off being a little bit of a tag team, and then The Miz turned on him, and now Logan Paul acts like The Miz doesn't even exist, to a point where now The Miz is hosting WrestleMania, not even wrestling. That's crazy to me.
That's what's happening to me.
But that's what's happening. But now you insert Seth Rollins, who's been doing all these interviews saying, "Oh, Logan Paul needs to stay where he's at on social media. He's not really a wrestler." Like, he said a lot of things about him and about CM Punk. He's like, "Look, I don't really like this guy. Like, he's cool for social media, but I don't really care for him as a wrestler," which caused him to essentially the whole Montez Ford falling out in the Elimination Chamber and Logan Paul coming in and screwing Seth Rollins out of winning it. Henceforth, now building, and now for the second time now, Logan Paul is quote unquote knocked Seth Rollins out with a punch. So Seth is doing what the company's telling him to do. He's been building these stars up. So at some point, Seth Rollins has got to get back, one, in the main event picture, and two, he's got to get back to doing what we're accustomed to him doing.
Damn it, he got to get back to winning at WrestleMania.
Because I mean, we already know we know he's been a part of literally the greatest counter in the history of WrestleMania with that pop-up RKO.
But he was on the receiving end.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. He was a part of the greatest counter, because we were all together when that happened. Of course, we all about fell out our damn couches when that shit happened.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Because I ain't never seen nothing like that. And shout out to Randy Orton's knee for holding up in that situation too, because that's a 220-pound man. You just kind of let springboard off your knee real quick.
Yeah,
but it worked. So of course we talked about it. You've got Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. We'll see how that story goes. I do want to talk about this one though. This Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this one.
I love this match because we've seen it before. And when we saw it, it was like the first time we saw this match, which was at WrestleMania, was the rookie versus the vet. And Charlotte kind of took it to Rhea. Rhea wasn't ready yet. She was a star on NXT. She was being built, but she was not quite ready for the main stage. Insert X number of years later, she's had time to really come into her own. She wins the Women's Royal Rumble, and she's like, I want Charlotte Flair because I want that match back that I lost back at Mania a couple years ago.
Correct.
This version of Rhea Ripley is scary. She's arguably pound for pound the strongest woman in the women's division, maybe between her and Raquel Gonzalez and Bianca, because those are that kind of all mixed in there. But she's dangerous. Like, she's flat out dangerous. And we know what Charlotte Flair is. We've seen this. She's already like a 13-time champion or whatever the hell how that's panned out. But it's a box office championship match, and it's going to be the main event for night one of WrestleMania. So not a bad way to close out night one.
I mean, if I was writing this story, if I was writing this story, Charlotte Flair is going to win again. If I was writing the story, Charlotte Flair is going to win again because I don't want to sound like a old grumpy guy when I say this. I do like the build-up that they've given Rhea Ripley and the Judgment Day, but I feel like it would be a surprise if Charlotte Flair actually wins this match because they built it up so much for Rhea to finally win. I think they should let Rhea get real close at winning and let Charlotte Flair remain champion for right now, because if she loses this belt, she's basically out the title picture again. And Charlotte Flair has a tendency to become irrelevant and then go complain about how she has no story in the championship picture over and over again. And that's why she has 13 damn championships at this point. Stop.
Yeah, and and
if she loses, do not give her another title fight in the next 2 pay-per-views, please.
But that's exactly what would happen to give her. They're gonna have her break her dad's record. That's what's going to happen.
Well, she has to lose.
Be seen. She does, exactly, which is why I said what I'm saying now is that Rhea Ripley's most likely going to win this match. Yeah. Simply because they've put in too much work to build her to simply let her essentially fall from grace now. Because this build with the Judgment Day becoming everything that they didn't expect. I don't even know if they expected it to blow up the way that it blew up, but it makes sense to put the belt on her. She's gotten better on the microphone. She's obviously the product in the ring is considerably better than what it once was, but this is going to be a very hard-hitting match. Like, it really is. Like, this is going to be a very action-packed match, and I love the direction that the women's division has gone since us being kids watching the bra and panties matches and all the shit that we used to watch as kids during the Attitude Era to seeing what
I forgot about the bra and panty matches. That was crazy.
So, but you have to think about it. So, think about when the matches that we have now come down to, ironically, the 2 women that are also in this pay-per-view between Trish Stratus and Lita are one of the main reasons why we have what we have now in the women's division. Because Lita was already a trained wrestler. Lita trained in Mexico and all this other stuff to become what she was. And Trish Stratus was figuring it out as she went. But then all of a sudden, Lita joins the Hardy Boys, becomes Team Extreme. And then you've got Trish Stratus, who's with Test and Prince Albert at the time.
Yeah.
So, and now you've got them in these 6-person tag matches, and you're seeing them do what things like Rhea Ripley has been doing now. So they laid the groundwork, because remember, after that, all of a sudden you had the Roxannes come in, you had Jazz come into the fold. You started seeing these more polished, prominent, more wrestlers come in now, female wrestlers, that really blew up and help that division blossom. And then you insert the women's revolution, the 4 horsewomen from NXT, your Sasha Banks, your Bayley, your Charlottes, insert Ronda Rousey coming into the fold, and look at what we have now because of what happened way back then. Amazing
cast of female wrestlers right now. Probably the best there's ever been. Not even probably, it is the best.
Without question. And I've said this and I'll say it again, like NXT has one of the best all-around women's rosters out there amongst most of all of your pro red. Like they just have a great balance of powerhouses, cruiserweight styles, very extremely athletic. Like they've got a great mixture of all. The main roster's getting there. It's getting better. They'll be right after, there's already been talks of big plans after WrestleMania. So there's going to be quite a few major call-ups, which we'll discuss that at a later point.
This is good because NXT is Triple H's brainchild. That's his baby right there.
Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they rocked the shit out of NXT while they were there. And you see a lot more people now getting called up to the main roster from NXT, which is good because Vince seemed like he was limiting those guys because he was so stuck in his ways about keeping who's already generating money, keep them there instead of giving out big pushes to people from NXT. And NXT is a developmental brand, and if you're not moving people up and calling them up frequently to see how they do, how do you know what you have?
You don't. This is why I love what Triple H is doing. I mean, it's unfortunate for like a guy like Johnny Gargano right now that's kind of getting like up and down. Now he's going to wrestle at Stand and Deliver, which is NXT's version of WrestleMania now. But he's got a really big match because he's got to finish up some unfinished business with Grayson Waller. Me and Joseph was talking about NXT earlier today. All right, let's pivot to the other women's championship match. You got Bianca Belair versus Asuka. So you have two contrasting styles. You got a powerhouse versus a submission monster. You have a technician versus a powerhouse.
I don't know, man. This is like the one where I just don't know what the plans are for either. Like I have the slightest idea what the plans are for either. We all know how great of a technical wrestler Asuka is.
We do, and not to mention a lethal striker. Now that she done added Tajiri's poison mist to her repertoire.
I love
like it's like you don't know. And Bianca's arguably been one of the strongest champions overall, just in general, that we've had in a while. Good on the microphone, been putting out solid matches. Fought off everybody that's that stepped up. So it's like, can you justify taking the belt off of her? Because if you do, now what?
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can justify taking the belt off her. And I get it. Last year she started her reign last year at WrestleMania after beating Sasha Banks?
What? No. She beat Becky.
Becky, my bad.
Because
Becky.
Remember, Bianca was the champion. Becky beat her in that real quick match at SummerSlam, which threw us all off. And then she had to fight her way back to get the belt back. And she's had it ever since. So, so they've done this massive buildup. Mind you, Becky Lynch is back.
Yeah.
A lot of your main staples on the female roster are back, and still Bianca is still your champion. Becky's back. Charlotte's back. Ronda Rousey's there somewhere. Shayna Baszler's there. Like, your main staples are there, and she's still at the top.
At this point, I don't. Her star power, bro. Bianca's star power is really something else because it kind of rivals Becky at her peak as the man.
Yeah,
and it's something crazy to watch. And the same way how they had Becky running with the title for a long time, you gotta find somebody that can match her star. I don't think Asuka has the fan base in America anyway. I should say
it's not even the fan base. She doesn't have the overall charisma you need to carry.
Yeah,
and I hate because unfortunately a part of it is the language barrier too. Because it's like you look at a story like Bianca Belair, right? She was a college track athlete who from a small town in Tennessee, but then went to a SEC school, ran track, did all this great stuff, was a bodybuilder, did all this stuff. Her husband is currently also a wrestler. He's a combat veteran.
He's about to get a big push too.
So she's that type of story, kind of like when they pushed Bayley. Bayley was somebody that the kids could get behind because she was doing all the hugging and all that type of stuff. But no, the kids fell for it, and that was what you wanted. The same with Sasha Banks. She was the boss. You knew when she walked into a room what you were getting. So Bianca is like that. She has the charisma. When you look at someone like Asuka, how are you relating to her? How is the crowd reacting to her? Because here's exactly what would happen. What would happen to Asuka is the same thing that would happen to Cody Rhodes. And this is why I'm going to say it like this. They win the title. Everything is cool for the first, we'll say, month. Maybe two. But it starts to wane. It'll go here, and then it'll just go down. Because say what you want about Cody. Cody's great. He's great at what he does, but Cody doesn't have the type of star power and charisma that Roman Reigns does.
Hell no.
He would not be able to carry the momentum that Roman has had this entire time. It's not too different from the match I'm going to pivot to here now, Austin Theory and John Cena. Similar situation, because John Cena was right. Austin Theory kind of loses either way. And it's simply because if he loses to John Cena, he loses the belt, but then he loses all of his credibility, all the building that they've done. But then if he wins, you beat John Cena, but now you have to, like he said, that following Monday, step out on your own without me and continue carrying this thing on.
You got to live up.
Now, I'm not saying that Austin Theory at some point can't do it, but he's still so young in his push. And he's a great heel. Like he's going to be a really good heel moving forward. Like he's captured the heel part. I remember him as a face because I watched him on NXT. him and Johnny Gargano, Indy Hartwell, and all those. I watched all that, but like he as a heel, he's doing really well. It's gonna be his best bet is staying as a heel. So how do you stay strong? How do you stay strong after a match with John Cena? Like unless you and some of the like unless you essentially squash match style him, how are you gonna do it? Hey,
The
shout
thing
out
I
to my
fear,
sister real quick. What's happening, Jen?
what's up, Jen? Um, the thing I'm most worried about with Austin Theory is if he wins, like you say, if he wins this match, he has to sustain momentum. Um, and I don't know how everybody else feels, but I obviously think John Cena is the greatest U.S. champion ever. He brought hella relevance to that belt. He put over hella talent on that belt. Um,
He turned it into that working man's championship.
he did.
And that's the beauty of what he's done. Now the argument can be made, like a lot of people will say, yes, that John Cena is the best U.S. champion we've had. People will make that argument for the Miz as well.
I go with Miz for the Intercontinental.
I can too, but then Chris Jericho's in that mix too.
Chris Jericho is in that mix. Chris Jericho did hold that.
Yeah, but I do agree when it comes to
know what they
John
can do with
Cena.
Austin Theory. That they probably booked this match They probably should have saved this one for SummerSlam instead of WrestleMania.
Definitely should have been for SummerSlam.
And they could have gave him somebody who's. I mean, same way they're giving Gunther the perfect way. Like if he wins his match, his build up and everything for how long he's had the belt has been absolutely worth it. He's getting to the point where he's a household name now.
Yeah, 100%.
It would suck if they squash him in this match. But
yeah, and I'm hoping that's not the case. Like I really hope they don't do that.
I really like him.
Who, Gunther?
So yeah.
Or Austin Theory. Oh no, I fucks with Gunther. Like, and speaking of Gunther, like we'll talk about that match now because it's him versus Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus, and I can see a situation now where they have Gunther drop the title simply because this is the only title that keeps Sheamus from jumping into the Grand Slam champion conversation now.
Big facts.
So I Sheamus wins his match. Yeah, so this is the only title that Sheamus hasn't won. So Sheamus wins his title. All of a sudden, he's a Grand Slam champion, joining The Miz, joining Seth Rollins, joining all these big names of his peers who are currently wrestling. There's still quite a few Grand Slam champions that are still currently wrestling on the main roster, though, he would join. So it's a big match. Yeah, Miz is a two-time Grand Slam champion. He's the only two-time, which next year he'll never let you forget that either. So let's talk about what, in my opinion, is going to be the worst match on this entire card. Brock Lesnar versus Omos. This match is going to be terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's going to be terrible.
There's nothing about this match that makes sense.
They would have been better off just like booking like a world's strongest man type of competition. I don't know. This is Omos to me. He's not it to me. I don't care how much people want to put him over because he's giant and things. And long gone are the days where you're just giant and you're something to marvel at in WWE. That is gone. You're 6'10". Your 6'10" guys can do amazing things now in the ring, other than just be big.
Yeah.
It's going to be terrible. I don't know if Brock Lesnar can just throw him around into Suplex City, and Omos doesn't have a set of moves. I mean, he's not
that we've seen at least.
And not that we've seen at least. This is true.
So it's I don't know what they're trying to do with this. Like, I really don't. Like, I have no idea what they're trying to do with this whatsoever. But they're now. I don't know if you saw.
I tell you the truth, I'd have just rather seen.
Yeah, well, see, they're also building it now to where they're doing like a weigh-in, like they're doing like a UFC fight, like they're building it up like that. And I'm like, but why?
Yeah,
like explain that part to me. But why? Like, why are you doing it this way? Because it doesn't. It just, I don't know. Everything about this match just seems like trash.
Trash.
Like it's not just as bad. this match is going, and I hate that I'm even about to say this, but this match is going to be worse than Goldberg versus Undertaker at Crown Jewel. And that was the same match where Goldberg was pissed. I mean, Undertaker was pissed because Goldberg botched so much shit.
Well, Goldberg is horrible at wrestling.
Well,
all the stuff that people say about John Cena, about he only has 5 moves, is definitely true about Goldberg.
well, on top of that, Goldberg is also Goldberg is also a free agent. So
good. Take him to AEW with Sting. They'd enjoy him there.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm done with that match because that match is going to be terrible anyway. But let's get back to this Legends match that's coming up, because you've got Trish Stratus, Lita, and Becky Lynch. By the way, Becky Lynch and Lita are the women's tag team champions currently, facing off against Damage Control, which consists of Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky or Io Shirai, however you want to look at it. Either way. But that goes back to the conversation we had earlier when we were talking about the women's division, because Trish Stratus and Lita, 2 of the founding women that helped branch and create and have the women's division set up to the way it is now. So I didn't know I still actually don't know what the direction that WWE is going in with having Becky Lynch and Lita being the women's tag champs, because I don't know how long, because the last couple matches I've watched with it, Lita's a step slow. Like she is. Lita is a step slow, and it's obvious.
Lita's old, bro.
She is. Like, and it's not her fault. It's just the situation of what it is. But I'm like, how do you justify taking the belt off of Becky and Lita and giving it back to Damage Control? Like, how can you do it without making the man look bad?
I don't know, unless they're just going to put her back in the main event push.
Well, at some point, she's got to get back into that picture. I mean, probably shortly. I'm sure. I wouldn't be surprised if for SummerSlam she's got a championship match.
Yeah. I don't know what the plan is here. I don't think beating Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish does anything to put Damage Control over. And I don't think Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish winning is going to help put them back over as well. I don't understand the point of this match unless Damage Control loses and then Bayley turns and goes back to solo and returns to the solo championship scene. I don't get it. I just don't. There's not enough.
I'm right there with you. Like, that's the problem, is I don't understand what's happening, because and I guess that's always how WWE kind of goes. Like, we never understand some of the decisions that are made. I guess that's what makes us, the fans that we are.
I don't think they understand it. They just roll with it.
Yeah, point taken. So moving on from that match, because we'll see. You got Edge versus Finn Balor in a Hell in a Cell match. This past Monday, you had Edge doing some crazy ass black screen with the candles, call out the demon. So he called out Demon Finn Balor. So it looks like we're going to have essentially the demon versus the devil in a Hell in a Cell match.
We just have the demon.
So we're going to see the Edge doing the Brood theme once again, and we're going to see the Demon Finn Balor come out, which just means it's going to be that much better of a match. And I've kind of said this for a while. I wonder what your take is on this, but I think it's time for Finn Balor to step away from the Judgment Day, because I think he has too much star power for this group. Like, now that he's back into the fold as normal, granted, I absolutely do not like Dominic Mysterio. That's just me. But
I agree with this. I agree with this. I would say especially if Rhea Ripley wins the title.
Yeah.
It seems like they kind of just put Finn Balor there to raise the prominence of everybody else in the group.
Well, because originally it was Edge. So
yeah. And now it's like, okay, Finn Balor obviously can have his own push again, because I remember he did fight Roman Reigns for the title before, whenever Roman Reigns was not in the business of giving John Cena a title match and accepting it. No. So he accepted Finn Balor instead, which turned out to be a pretty good match.
No, 100%. It was a great match.
I do think Finn Balor should be in the conversation for either U.S. champion or Intercontinental champion, and give him one last push before you bring him all the way up to actual Universal
back to where he was before.
Yeah, which is crazy. You got to raise his stock back, because people don't understand. Finn Balor was the man in NXT. I didn't even watch NXT, and I knew who Finn Balor was.
Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, like they were the staples when all those guys, when your Roman Reigns and your Seth Rollins and your Dean Ambroses and your Big E's, Kofi, when they all got called up, these guys were still there doing what they do.
Yeah.
I also do like the group, like possibly adding somebody. Now who that is, like there's been lots of different rumors. I think this would be a good place to add somebody like a Karrion Kross, because Karrion Kross needs not a rebranding, but a slightly different push.
He does need a push.
So why not, do his entrance isn't too far off from what the Judgment Day is kind of already doing. So I think he can fit that bill. I'm a big Damian Priest fan, so I do like the Judgment Day. Like I do like the Judgment Day.
I just don't like Dominic Mysterio.
I just don't like Dominic Mysterio. Oh, look, the man of the CEO of the punk ass Jet community has tapped in. Sorry,
CJ, we ain't talking about your punk ass Jets today.
We're talking about some wrestling. All right, so you've got two tag team fatal 4-way type matches that haven't been announced yet. We'll see how they go. I guess we'll find out really on Friday what the finals of that'll be. But other than that, overall, I'm still gonna watch it. Obviously, I'm gonna be. Hell, you'll probably be at my house. Hell, for all I know.
I'm gonna try to get there, because I know I got it. WrestleMania is what day?
It's the first weekend in April.
The first weekend. Okay, so actually no, I might be able to get there. Yeah, I should be able to get there, because I was thinking the second week, because the second week I do got a DJ here in Bayton.
Yeah, but you're gonna be at the crib for Easter though. So.
Oh yeah. Shit, you already know this.
Yeah. There's no. Yeah, it goes down. It goes down.
By the way, for people who are in the chat, I don't like Dominic Mysterio when his dad is done.
Hey, no, that's facts. I don't know what the hell Dominic gonna do when Ray ain't in this thing no more. Because
that's the only thing keeping him relevant.
Well, they're trying to go back and forth. Like they talked about Rey Mysterio came out and already said he wouldn't fight his son at WrestleMania, which means they're possibly building that for SummerSlam.
Dominic is going to do something crazy.
He's already doing something crazy. But I also think this fake ass I've been to jail type shit is just, oh my God, bro. It's like, it's comical.
It's unbearable at this point.
He's getting like that Santino Marella treatment.
Yeah.
At least Santino was really he was believable in his dumbass antics. Like, I can't believe anything about, like, I don't know if you caught it on Friday Night SmackDown last week when they were talking about all my friends were driving Mercedes and here I am driving to school in a BMW and it wasn't even a 3 Series. I was like, if you don't get the fuck out of here with that shit, like, I was like, bro.
I sat and I was like, who the hell wrote this promo? I hope it wasn't him because he sucks. Oh, you know what? By the way, since I'm going to be by you for Easter, anybody in the chat, y'all that's going to be there or is not going to be there, y'all got any games that y'all suggest we play on Easter for a family-like kind of party? Let us know. We're open to any kind of game besides getting wet. That's a no.
Yeah, no, I ain't doing that. But that's what she said. You did it. So I did get my hands on a cornhole board. So we definitely getting the cornhole in. Just so you're welcome.
Thank you. I'm gonna kick your ass according to you.
Get the fuck out of here.
Kick your ass accordingly too.
Listen, you're gonna get this smoke faster than an Amazon Prime next day shipping package while you playing.
Wow, shut up. All right.
So I wanna touch back on the NCAA tournament simply because we didn't cover one particular thing that I know we wanted to cover. And it was a question that you posed to me. So now I'm gonna flip it and pose it back to you. And it is the number ones or the field. Now, mind you, your number ones are currently, as it stands, Alabama and Houston.
Yep.
That's the only number ones left. So
against 14 other teams.
So it's kind of really 14-on-2. So how do what's your take on it?
I still feel pretty good about going with the number ones. I don't think Furman or Princeton scares me enough.
Well, Furman's gone. San Diego State beat them.
San Diego State. I think San Diego State is really good. But they're missing something. Like they kind of remind me of the Kawhi Leonard San Diego State team. And for those of you, I do like my Spurs too. And I was a fan of Kawhi Leonard because people were like, you didn't know nothing about Kawhi. Yes, I did. I watched San Diego State. I watched the tournament. I thought Kawhi Leonard was amazing. They're missing something. And I haven't figured out what it is yet. It's nothing to do with coaching. It's just the way they play. Something seems off. And I feel like if they get hot, they can beat anybody. But I feel like if they go I feel like if they go cold, they can't stop anybody. That's what it is.
Well, both number ones are in action on Friday, so that'll give you that's something something to do on that day.
Well, I'm taking the number ones. I don't see both of them being upset, at least before the Final Four.
I mean, at this point, is it really an upset? Unless, here's how I guess it would still be an upset. Hypothetically speaking, let's say that Alabama beats San Diego State and Princeton beats Creighton. So now you're talking about a 15-1 matchup in the Elite Eight, which I don't know. Was the last time we saw something like that? Was that when George Mason made their run? Because George Mason was a double digit. Were they at 10?
Who was it last year? Somebody last year made a
Providence.
Was it Providence?
I think it was Providence.
Yeah, it might be Providence. Somebody last year made a crazy run. How about the VCU with their run as well? Yeah. So yeah. I mean, if Princeton if Princeton was to somehow win and upset Alabama, I don't know what to say.
So on top of that, right? So I saw this TikTok and it was like it said Princeton after they beat Missouri, and they showed the campus being quiet as hell. No partying, no celebrating, no nothing. And I'm like, bro, it's an Ivy League school, bro. I'm sure they party, but they don't party like how for the sake of discussion. They don't party how like if Missouri would have won and Missouri was a 15 beating a 7, Missouri would have been turned up.
Yeah. I'm sticking with the number ones. I'm definitely gonna stick with the number ones because I do believe in Alabama and I do believe in Houston. I believe one of them is going to be in the championship game.
Okay. So I'm with you. I mean, it's really easy to pick the field because of the amount of upsets. And mind you, now U of H has played some very, we'll say, nail-biting type of games. Well, except against Auburn. They beat the brakes off Auburn.
Yeah.
But that game against Northern was it was 52-63. It was fairly close. Like it was closer than you think. Don't let the final score fool you. Like U of H looked a little rough in the first half. Now they came to ball and beat the brakes off of Charles Barkley's Auburn Tigers. But I think they really do. But they have a really good matchup against this Miami team because Miami came out and beat Drake in the first round, and they beat a number 4 Indiana team by almost 20.
Yeah, they beat the brakes.
So they've got a lot of momentum coming into this game. So it's going to be interesting. But a matchup that hasn't been talked about a lot that I think more people hopefully are paying attention to is ironic. Hold on.
Whoa, CJ
was just talking about it. So
The
because
disrespect, bro.
I was just about to talk about this matchup between Xavier and Texas, because a lot of people feel like Texas is being disrespected because people aren't talking about the Longhorns as much as they're talking about the Tennessees, the Alabamas, University of Houston's, and everything else. And it's like Texas has kind of slipped under the, as kind of like, and Xavier for that matter, as like the forgotten about teams. So he also said Alabama going to the Final Four. I mean,
Damn.
look, if Alabama lose to Princeton, I'm crying because the amount of memes that's going to be out there. Ivy League versus country, boy, I can just tell you there's going to be some memes out there. So I hope it don't happen, but it will be some memes out there. Let's pivot into something that you and I love talking about. Let's talk about fantasy sports.
Yep.
Specifically because we are in the NBA season, we will talk about fantasy basketball. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I beat your ass last week.
Okay. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's not the way we start this shit off. Okay. That's not how it's done. That is not how it's done. Okay. Wait a minute.
100% how I'm starting it off.
I actually have that. You know what? I suggested this, and I really have nothing major to say about fantasy in any kind of way, just because this year, unless you have a top 10 player, it's been very up and down. Like you've had, like just the other day, if you had Austin Reeves, he blew up. You had Dylan Brooks a couple of weeks ago, it's just been boom, boom.
Well, but that's how fantasy basketball is. Fantasy basketball, like you have your stars, you have your top 25, and then you got a bunch of other guys. Like your guys from 26 to 100 are like this for the rest of the season. Like they just are. But it all just, again, comes down to who you drafted and how you drafted. So I'm glad we brought this up into the fold because I wanted to give the viewers kind of a peek behind the curtain a little bit.
Okay.
So when you get, I know you're on your phone, so I'll pull your roster for you so you don't mess up your camera. So for my NBA fans out there, y'all can listen to this roster, y'all can critique it how you see fit, but say what you want about me and my team, but I'm 19-2 on the season, so you can't tell me shit. Or like Kanye West said, you can't tell me nothing because I don't lose very often. But I drafted Kevin Porter Jr. from the Houston Rockets. I drafted Tyler Hero. I grabbed Tyrus Jones because, of course, we know Ja Morant was out, dumbass millionaire. He was out for a little bit doing whatever it is he was doing.
Dumbass millionaire fishing.
I drafted one of DJ Michael B's favorite players in Keldon Johnson.
Bastard.
Scotty Barnes. I picked up Beasley right on time. I have Miles Turner. I have Bam Adebayo. I got John Collins, who has been my literal up and down player this entire season. Devin Booker, Steph Curry. A sneaky pickup was Walker Kessler from the Utah Jazz. If you know basketball, you understand why I drafted a guy like that. He's very consistent when it comes to fantasy type of stuff. Of course, I had Jaden Ivey because Jaden Ivey on the Detroit Pistons is Jaden Ivey. CJ McCollum, Josh Giddey, which obviously, if you've been watching the Oklahoma City Thunder, boy, Josh Giddey has been a dog.
Josh Giddey's balling.
Al Horford, Mr. Old Man consistent himself. Nicholas Claxton, who has been great on the blocks all year long. Cam Johnson, Buddy Hield, and of course, my injured player in Anthony Edwards at the moment. But it's okay. He'll be back, hopefully, at some point. But let's run down DJ Michael B's roster, who he does have that dumbass millionaire as his point guard and Ja Morant. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, he's got Jalen Brunson. He has got Jashawn Tate. If you are a Houston Rockets fan, you know who that is. He's got Christian Wood. If you're a Rockets fan, you know who that is too. Or if you're a Mavericks fan, you just know who that is. Joel Embiid, Brook Lopez, RJ Barrett, Lou Dort. If you know anything about OKC, Lou Dort just finished locking up Kawhi Leonard in that game when they upset. Yeah, I said it, upset the Clippers.
Okay.
And then of course, you know that. Look, say what you want. I'm just saying it was a good defensive series, and it was. I'll get into that particular thing. We're not gonna go too much into NBA because here at From the Sidelines, we have a basketball show that is on Mondays, and we have a football show on Fridays. The objective here for us in the middle of the week is to kind of give you a little bit of a different take on all things. So we won't dive too deep into those two things because between Mel and Troy and Moolage and the entire family, they will take care of those things, and you will catch myself and DJ Micah B on one, if not both of those shows throughout the week. So make sure you tune in on Fridays and make sure you tune in on Mondays because those two shows right there are hot.
And if you miss Mondays,
man, say look, I was in the comments for Monday. Oh my God, that was y'all should just put the gloves on.
Mel came in that whole ready to blow up.
That's legit how I felt. Like y'all should just put the gloves on. Back on these rosters real quick. He has Josh Richardson. He's got Jalen Green. Of course, he's got LeBron, who's injured right now. Malcolm Brogdon, Ben Simmons.
Trash.
Jaylen Brown. Finney Smith, Jared Allen. He's got SGA, the guy that was essentially shipped off in favor of Paul George, however you want to look at it. But those are our current fantasy teams. And for the sake of standings, DJ Micah B is sitting second in his division. He's in the East Division. I'm in the West Division. He's 2 games back of our homie Jew Fresh, who, just like in fantasy football, when DJ Micah B comes up with the most creative names, Julius does the same thing in NBA. So his team is currently called Draymond's Pool. So
I didn't realize that. That's funny.
So I'm leading the West Division. I've got a 4-game lead on the guy in second place, sitting at 19-2. DJ Micah B is sitting at 12-9. So good season. Playoffs is around the corner, and that's when shit tends to get a little cray-cray.
Yeah, time to revamp the rosters.
Just for the sake of doing it, because Calvin is in the chat anyway, the Rhinos, I don't know where he came up with that name from, but that is the name of his team. They are 3rd in the Western Division and 5th overall at 11-10. So not bad. Not bad.
The leader of the punk-ass Jets fan base.
So that's that. That's how that rocks and rolls. But we had to get into that. Look, hold on, I got to put that in there. He said, no, hey, man, if we was in a 12-team league, man, you may or may not make the playoffs. But since we are not in a 12-team league yet, you good. You just got to make sure your team is ready to rock and roll when the playoffs start.
They won't be. They'll be out in the first round.
First round draft picks coming. So he didn't.
Just okay. Scratch Calvin. Hey, say, bro. Get. Oh my God. All right. You know what? What you want to get into next? Because I'm not about to sit here and play with CJ all day, bro.
Hell no, not that. They need to figure out their Aaron Rodgers situation right now. First,
Aaron Rodgers can't save that.
Aaron Rodgers can't. I mean, listen, I'm all right. I'm not gonna say nothing because we got a Friday show coming up, so we'll talk about the current moves that the Jets continue to make, which have been pretty good actually.
Yeah, pretty solid
Friday. So let's get into that crossover you got.
All right, man. So for those of you that don't know, the crossover was something that I came up with right before our very first podcast. I'm about to be like the Dallas fans. Okay, well that's
delusional
fine.
And losing for 20 years, I bet.
It's been longer than that for them now. So let me explain to you the crossover. I take something from the comics or something I heard on TV or whatever, and I pretty much equate it to sports. Or if I see something in sports, I can equate it back to whatever. It could be music, whatever, this and that. So, recently, if you all have been paying attention to the movies, the box office and things like that, Ant-Man and the Wasp, what is it, Quantumania?
Yeah, Quantumania.
Quantumania recently came out a couple of weeks ago. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I have not. We are going to talk about it once me and my brother decide to finally go watch it.
I haven't went because I've been waiting on you and your brother to go. So
you should have said something. We got to. All right, we're gonna set this up.
I did say something. I'm gonna let you know. Me and my brother go, and I was like, I bet.
I bet we're gonna. All right, we're gonna unfuck that situation. Don't worry about it.
There we go. So here's what I got today. I think you might like this. Before the very first Ant-Man movie, a lot of people didn't know what Ant-Man was. A lot of them didn't know what Ant-Man was. Unlike yourself and me. We
Pretty
knew
much me, you, Dorian, and a couple other people.
Joseph. I
Yeah.
don't know if Cavill was really that big in the comics or not, but I'm pretty sure he knew who Ant-Man was. So those kind of people have a special list in the comic book world. We call those guys B-list superheroes.
Yeah.
And the reason why we call them B-list is because they have pretty much their own storyline. They are heroes in whatever they are, and only deep comic fans really know what's going on. Like if I tell people about Silver Surfer, a lot of people think Silver Surfer is a enemy just because of the Fantastic Four movie, The Silver Surfer. So, whereas in the comic book, he wasn't an enemy.
First of all, he's arguably one of the strongest characters in all of fucking Marvel, but
correct. So here is and like I tell people, I don't say top 5. I always say my 5 favorite because I don't have time and research to do the polls and see throughout the years who the best B-list superstars are and stuff like that. So here we go. My 5 favorite B-list superheroes. On the counters, on the Ant-Man is obviously on my list, but on the flip side of that, the Wasp. Although the Wasp has never had her own comic strip, she is very prominent in the Ant-Man comics. She has a couple of comics by herself in the Ant-Man series doing amazing things. So I got the Wasp, one that a lot of people are very familiar with, especially after the Spider-Man movie, Daredevil. Daredevil is like borderline A, but pretty much prominent.
Yeah,
prominent
borderline.
Because he existed inside so many different comics before he got his own comic, and TV show for that matter. Next up, I got She-Hulk. Yes,
definitely B-list, but could be A depending on the situation.
Correct. She could be an A, but with the variations of so many different Hulks, she pretty much rides the B. And I said the B. and then one of my favorite in the Marvel universe right now, and I think everybody would agree, the Falcon. And yes, before anybody says anything, the Falcon was always there as well. He's always been that. So, in favor of the B list of this crossover of the superheroes, we're going to go into the NBA. And here we go with my 5 favorite B-list franchise players. And they're B-list because they just weren't good enough to take their teams to the promised land. But I love to watch them play. Starting off with number 5, Kemba Walker. I love Kemba Walker. You know how much ever since UConn, you know how much I love Kemba.
Phenomenal college basketball player.
Might have one of the greatest run ever in college basketball.
Yeah.
You can't tell me nothing about the 2011 UConn Huskies, bro.
Not even that. The follow-up after that.
Yeah.
With Norris Cole and company.
Yep. Shabazz and them. My God.
Yeah, like, dude, that was stupid.
Little known fact for a lot of people that don't pay attention, Shabazz Napier is a 2-time college champion. Just thought I put that out there.
For those who, sleep under a rock or something.
Yeah. Next up, we got one of my favorite players of all time from his Portland days, LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
AKA Lunch Meat. And for those of you that don't understand why they called him Lunch Meat, because at one point in his career, everything he threw up in the mid-range was going in. And they were screaming Lunch Meat because that's what people were to him. He was just eating down there. Next up, if not my favorite, probably one of my top 3 favorite players of all time, because I really like his game, Joe Johnson. There should be no explanation needed here.
Yeah, I know how much you love Mr. Big Shot Joe.
Yeah, JJ, what's up, man? Yeah, I even gave him a nickname. A lot of people might not like this one, but the fact of the matter is he couldn't do it alone. Ray Allen, because Ray Allen and the reason why I picked Ray Allen as a B-list franchise player, of course, Ray Allen at one point was a stud in Milwaukee, like a superstar in Milwaukee, but people tend to forget how good Ray Allen actually was in Milwaukee, bro. Listen, Milwaukee Ray Allen was a dog. Like, he was dunking on people. He was shooting off the dribble. All this. Ray Allen was ridiculous.
People forgot that Ray Allen can dunk, man.
Yeah, Ray Allen was in the dunk contest at 1.2. That tells you enough there. And last but not least on this list, and partially because he went to go play with LeBron after he won himself a championship, Kevin Love.
Yeah, Kevin Love was trying his best to do it in Minnesota by himself, and then we saw what happened.
Yeah, but he wasn't KD.
No, but he was extremely consistent in Minnesota before, he was.
Kevin Love was breaking records in Minnesota.
Yeah, he was. And he was a consistent 20 and 10 guy. Like, he gave you what he was going to give you. He just didn't have that second or third scorer to continue to complement what he was doing.
Yeah, I do love. I used to love watching Kevin Love. Honorable mention, which is a guy that passed away that a lot of people don't remember. That was a dog in the 90s, Drazen Petrovic.
That's one of your, bro. You talk about Mr. Petrovic quite a bit, so I already know. Yeah, Mr. Petrovic was like that as a B-lister.
Yeah, he was. He played for the Nets. That should tell you enough why he was a B-lister.
Yeah, I mean, the New Jersey Nets to make it even, not even Brooklyn, it was New Jersey at the time.
Yeah,
had them ugly ass jerseys. But that's where Richard Jefferson played.
Moo, you're absolutely right, Moo. He Kevin Love was a monster in Minnesota.
Hold on, baby. There it is. The original gas man. Hey, somebody know. Oh, shout out to Big Moo out there. Hey, we know what we know around here.
Trying to tell, hey, I'm a big NBA historian, dog. Big one.
That's one thing you're gonna learn about this beautiful partnership that we now have. Extremely thankful for being a part of From the Sidelines. There is a lot of knowledge in this family, whether it's NBA, whether it's NFL, whether it's college, whether it's pop culture.
And I can't wait to
started. We ain't even started on the music and everything else, and we got some crazy stuff coming down the line for you. I'm hoping if this all pans out accordingly, I got something hot for us next week. I might actually have us a round table times 3. So I got some stuff coming down that I'm working on. So it's gonna be on and popping. Speaking of that, let's get to what would be considered our favorite part of every single episode that we do, and it is the shout outs.
Yep.
So we gotta get to that, because every single episode you will hear this from us. If you've been following us on the pod, we do the shout outs in the local brews, because one thing I like to do is make sure I provide the local brews from where?
HEB here. Everything's better. From the sidelines, y'all understand that in a couple of weeks.
We're trying to get the sponsorship. It's trying to happen. So, DJ, I'm gonna let you get started real quick. Let us know what's up on the shout outs. I'm gonna pull up a little bit more of this here good old Jim Beam apple real quick.
Well, I got Cavassier. That should be no surprise to you.
Oh, you fancy, huh?
My shout out is going to go to Moo, Troy, Boo Up, bruh. I appreciate y'all letting me into y'all Monday show, bruh. I've been following y'all since GQ here got on to the football show, and then I could only count on the days where I'd be able to get onto the basketball show. Of course, on the football side, I'm not gonna forget y'all too, man. It's been an amazing collab since we came on the first time, and I want to tell y'all a story real quick. This all started with a simple post in a podcast group that Mr. GQ answered. Was it Troy that asked the question? If anybody wanted to come on? And GQ hopped on it and said we will both love it. I couldn't make it, and then they backdoored and got me the next time. So, hey, man, we appreciate y'all. You're right. It's family now, man. It's all love over here. And of course, last but not least, I know the song has changed, but shout out to Jew Fresh. I will never forget In My Zone. I listened to that song right before you came on here too.
Listen, Jew Fresh, we always tell you, dog, the greatest producer the boys ain't discovered yet, but when you discover him, you understand why. All right, for those that have been with us since we started the pod, you've heard In My Zone. You understand why we would not ever change that song, because the fact that he blessed off on that for us, and it was such a big deal for us personally to have somebody like that being able to allow us to utilize his music to make our podcast that to what it became to now to where we are now with we're from the sidelines. And I'm gonna finish what DJ Michael B started on our shout outs, and I'm gonna give them shout outs to Mel, to Zamora, to Lamar, to Troy, to everybody from the sidelines. Like I said, it all started from a very simple post on Facebook because that's how it works, right? Networking, man. Networking is the key to life. And a very simple post led to me guest appearing on a couple of NFL shows. It led to DJ Michael B showing up on a couple of NBA shows. It led to some behind the scenes stuff that one day maybe we'll talk about on the air. And now you got Gentlemen's Talk from the sidelines. So shout out and cheers to all of you guys. We love the fam. And hey, nowhere to go but up from here. And hey, like my man DJ Khaled said, God did.
Yup. Let me explain my laughter real quick. Like, did you catch why I started laughing?
No, I didn't.
I didn't catch off guard. I probably said the same thing and I didn't realize it because until I heard it from you. He was like, and it all started, and in my head was like, with an orange basketball.
Proud of your shit already. We just started.
Hey, that's what Wiz said, man. Wizard Kelly said that. It all started with the orange basketball. Don't act like you didn't watch the Proud Family in here.
Hey, look, I'm not saying I didn't, but hey, look, it was all good just a week ago. So, speaking of music, we had a little bit of music talk because I was going to send this picture to you, but I wanted to just go ahead and catch your live reaction because it just made it even better. So, I was playing around on some Spotify and a couple other places, and I saw this, and I didn't believe it. But, oh, hold on, baby. Wizard Kelly.
Yeah.
What's up? For those who know, man, if you watch the Proud Family, you understand the situation. But did you know that T-Pain dropped a new project?
No.
It's called On Top of the Covers. Oh, let me educate you real quick, my brother. So he took his favorite songs and covered them. No auto-tune. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Hey, so I sent it to my wife. I was like, hold on. First of all, all right. First of all, great collection of music. First of all, I didn't expect what I got from him, but let me I'll read it off to you. Some of these you'll know, some of these you may not. You know, it just depends, you know, on the situation at hand. I know you're versed on your music. I'm not, you know, discrediting them like that. But some people don't know some of these songs. So he had A Change Is Gonna Come.
Okay.
Don't Stop Believing.
Wow.
It gets better. Sharing the Night Together.
Uh-huh.
Scrangs in K major.
Wow.
Stay With Me. Of course, you know that from Sam Smith. Tennessee Whiskey.
I'm actually not surprised because Stay With Me was probably the song they want him to match. So
yeah, for 100%. That's Life. And War Pigs. So if you know anything about those 8 songs that were listed, those are some classics.
That is very well versed on his part.
Wait till you listen. Just wait till you listen to it, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I've been listening to it all day, and on Johnny on the spot, I'm gonna put it in my order for you, how I personally am a fan of it. Of course, so at number 8, it was gonna be it's Scrangs in K major. Number 7 is gonna be Sharing the Night Together. Number 6 was A Change Is Gonna Come. Number 5 was War Pigs, because man, War Pigs that's a hard song. War Pigs is a hard song, and he pulled that off in a way that I didn't like. It was, when you listen to it, you'll understand. Like, he had to, you could tell of all the songs, I'd be willing to bet War Pigs probably took him multiple takes, because when you listen to it, you'll understand. It's like, all right, story time, a little backstory. Yeah, hey, Moo, I did that for you, a little story time. So myself and DJ Michael B come from rival high schools. We also did choir together. So let me equate War Pigs for you real quick. War Pigs is not too far off from when we did Zoom Golly.
Oh my God.
So it's like that. Like, it's tricky, but he pulled it off. Of course, so for me, Tennessee Whiskey, he did it a little bit different. He kind of did it with him, and then he kind of had like the choir in the background. So it's a little different than what you've heard before. So
That's
it's a
dope,
slightly different take on a good song. I absolutely loved so Stay With Me was gonna be number one. That was hard to beat, but then Don't Stop Believing. Oh man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I'm really looking forward to that one.
Hey, he did that. He did that. He 100% did that on Don't Stop Believing. I was actually blown away when I heard it. I sent it to my wife and she was like, "Oh, I'm listening to this all the way to work." So, yeah, definitely
as soon
catch
as
that album.
I'm listening to that one.
Yeah, so go ahead and definitely catch that album because you're gonna it was definitely worth it. But I wanted to make sure you knew that I knew that, so I had to make sure I let you know real quick. And I see that Moo knew that as well. So when we start talking about some of this music stuff, oh yeah, Moo, you're gonna be on the round table when we start talking about that because we're gonna get into some real interesting conversations when it comes to this music stuff. So
I'm a whole DJ over here. You know I got the
Hey, you dealing with two people that done messed around with a lot of music. So
we got music together. That is so.
Oh yeah, we've this ain't new. It's new to you guys, but it ain't new to us. So be looking out for that. So that's gonna be fun right there. Because because of how we did the couple episodes ago on the pod when we did our I want to bring it back how we did the top 5 MCs because now I kind of want to see where Moo is at with that.
I do too.
But I want to make sure I bring Charlotte on for that too because I've been talking. Me and Charlotte been talking. And
you got
to because that's what me and Charlotte used to do. We used to
do.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful round table conversation that we will definitely be setting up very soon. So like we talked about, all right, in our particular role from this beautiful From the Sidelines family that we are now a part of, we will take care of all things that are really not football and basketball dominated. We're going to focus on a lot more doing on these interviews. We're going to bring you guys some more of this pop culture stuff. We're going to bring you these shout outs. We're going to bring you the crossover. And we're going to bring you a very special segment near and dear to my own heart. And we're going to bring you what we call the Real Talk. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pull back the curtain and tell you about the Real Talk. The Real Talk is one of those segments that we came up with early in our podcast careers that arguably sparked one of our most streamed episodes simply because somebody decided to test your boy, and your boy is the CEO of the Fuck Around and Find Out Club, and she found out. So if you want to check that episode out, it is called the GQ Bomb for the Ages, and you can catch it on anywhere that you catch your podcast. So I'll let you figure that out and cross that bridge when you get to it. But my Real Talk happened. I've been thinking about it all day, trying to figure out where it was going to come from. It actually happened while I was at the barbershop, getting my fresh cut. Shout out to Shay and 32 Degrees Barbershop out there on Westheimer for always hooking your boy up. I've been going there for the entire time that I've been doing like a lot of my military stuff. They've always taken care of me. I've always got your boy looking GQ fresh. That's the way I like it. So,
as you should.
So she had posed this question to me, and she was posing it to the whole barbershop. And it just really, and it made me peel back the curtain. So she said that somebody knows this individual that was talking to her, whatever, said, are you interested in me? And she was like, I mean, yeah. It's like, well, so why didn't you pursue me? And she's like, what do you mean? It's like, because I wanted to be pursued. And I'm like, all right. So she asked me, and the question was, and I'm gonna ask you the same question, even though both you and I are in these relationships, but when you first meet somebody, or in this case, when you first meet a woman, do you immediately go into pursue mode?
No. And
why is that?
I'm of the mindset where it's like normally I meet people through friends, or if I just meet you at the bar or something, yeah. But I don't go into pursue mode because I want to know exactly who you are before I pursue you. Even with the girl I have now, it's funny because me and CJ was just talking about this earlier, and I was like, it's none of anybody's business that I'm in a relationship, but yet here we are. But me and Me and this girl been friends for a while, and we finally we just started dating not too long ago. I guess on my end it's more like a shy take
Okay.
because uh luckily for me she was more than just a face, but it took me a while to figure out because that I just need to know who you are. I'm not just going to pursue any girl because bad shit happens when you do that. Just because I'm attracted to you don't mean you're going to be an attractive person in the end. You could be a 10 and be a 1 with your personality, bro, and you'll just be ugly to me for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter. Um,
Facts.
so do I pursue immediately? No. Now, if we're just at a bar and I'm attracted to that person and I want to go pursue that person and get the number to find out more about them, then yes, I'll go pursue them then. But still, I won't pursue a relationship until I know enough about you. That
Yeah.
boy, see, and there's a lot of them out there. Good
Hey,
lord.
because it is. Hey, there's a lot of catfish out there too, but we don't talk about that. I couldn't. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I could not help it. So I'm in the same boat as you though. Like I'm not jumping into pursue mode after the first time I meet you. Like I'm not doing that. Like because it goes back to that question that pisses off a lot of, in this case, a lot of women. What do you bring to the table? Like I don't know what you bring to the table after the first time I met you. So what am I going to pursue mode for? Now, if we in a situation where it's gonna end up leading to one of them, them one night overnight type of situations, there is a little bit of pursuit happening because we got to close this deal. We got to get that
Yes,
handshake.
yeah,
So we got to get this handshake
that's the
agreement real
way.
quick, and we got to
Yeah.
go change that oil real quick. You know, and that's one thing. But if you sitting there telling me right off the rip, hey, I want you to pursue me. First of all, how you gonna come into this with terms and conditions like I'm signing a new contract for a cell phone? The fuck I look like? I'm not finna do that. I'm not chasing you. I don't chase people. That ain't my thing. That ain't how I get down. I'm
Only
not
chase
chasing you.
money.
Like if I'm going to quote unquote pursue you, it ain't gonna take long. I'm gonna
Hey,
get you.
what's the classic quote? I don't even chase my liquor.
You see, I'm drinking it straight. But I'm not in that business. So we had a young man in there that was about 18 years old getting his lineup. He had some fresh braids, so he's getting a good lineup. So mind you, my barber, she in her 40s. My other OG barbers next to me, we all in our older ages. So him being the young buck, we was like, hey, so let's talk about this. So he started asking him, hey man, so how is dating for y'all's generation? And this is how we got into this whole conversation. So if y'all ain't ever just been to a black barbershop, I'm telling you right now, you're missing out. It ain't always sports conversation and who's the GOAT and all this other. It's all kind of conversation.
We put you
Today's
on game, bro.
conversation, yeah. So today's conversation revolved around dating in 2023. So my 33-year-old ass about to put y'all on game on how these 18, 19, 20-year-olds think of dating in 2023. So we said, all right, so when we was growing up, and we know it as the talking phase, we was dating, and then we was together, or cuffing, however you want to play that game. So this generation, right? They use the talking phase the way that we use the dating phase. They took all the definitions are the same. They just kind of like flip flopped and played with the order. So when they're in the talking phase, that means, hey, I'm talking to you, but I might be talking to her or her or her. I'm still, I'm messing with you, but I'm messing with her. So they done all that. So then they go into the dating phase, right? Well, that's where they're like, all right, that's the dating phase for them is like the cuffing phase for us. So it's like, when I'm with you, I'm with you. My focus is on you. But just like R. Kelly at one point said one of these songs, he said, hey, when I'm around, you better cuff your chick because, if the right person come around, he might snatch a person from you. So that's how they view the whole cuffing thing. And then, of course, when it's time to be exclusive, everything has to have a title these days. That's
Social
when they're
media.
like, yeah, it ain't official until it's on social media. Oh, in a relationship with insert name here and date and all this other shit.
I already knew where you was going with that one. That they good for that.
Yeah. So that's them, and I'm just like, I'm listening to them talking. I'm just like, man, that shit sound confusing. But at the same time, I have to think about when I was 18 and when you was 18. I'm like, I bet our parents and them thought we was weird too.
Facts.
So it's like, you kind of have to, take it at face value, but it's like, you just try to keep up with what terminology is doing what to, make it make sense. So now I'm like, all right. So dating is still weird in 2023. I got that. It wasn't weird when we was coming up. It's hella weird now. But it's only weird now, and it's not. I'm not going to use the word weird. I'm going to take that back. It's not. It's extremely different because the roles have switched, and this is where my real talk comes into the fold. The reason I'm saying that the roles are switched is because at one point when you and I were in this dating phase and trying to figure out everything, it was all about women and knowing their value, knowing their worth, and all this other stuff. With this generation is flipped. It's the guys. It's the men knowing their worth, and it's the men knowing their value. And there's a reason why marriage has done this, because it's set up to where most men nowadays like, what I'm gonna get married for? Because I'm gonna get divorced, and all of a sudden she's gonna take me for half my shit. Like a prenup is becoming more and more normalized with this generation than it is for us.
Know your worth, King. That's right.
So you start thinking about it, and you're like, dang, like the world, like it's really no different from generation to generation. It just the roles change. That's really it. The mindset's the same. The role changes. And I'm like, man, so just think about this for a second. So think about back when you and I was in high school, and think about if the roles that they are now were the roles that they were, back then for us. Like if we was the ones running the show, if you will. Do you even remotely think we would be where we are right now if the roles were reversed?
No.
Hell no. Especially not with me. Definitely not with me.
No. And
because I was already of that mindset when I was in high school for the most part, because I was focused on track and choir anyway. So like for me, girls was like on the back burner. Like I knew they wasn't going nowhere, but I knew, running these track meets and, going to all region choir and all this other stuff was way more important at the time.
Yeah. I just, you know what? I would just say towards that is just, Ivan is 23 going on 24, which is my youngest brother. For those of you that don't know, one of our biggest supporters. Shout out Big IV. He's in the room next to me anyway.
Sir.
Ivan is my youngest brother, and he's basically from the generation there is now, for the most part. And because Ivan is part of LXG and he's been around us most of our life, Ivan doesn't operate the way the rest of these niggas do. So I don't have.
We know this very well.
Yeah, I don't even have the slightest idea of what the hell they got going on in this generation. But to quote something I saw on Facebook that made me laugh, I can't trust anything born after the year 2000 when it comes to relationships. You just can't. And I was just, I don't want to repeat the quote, but the quote was a pretty spot on for the most part. I'll tell you what the quote said off air. But I don't know if it's a case of kids raising kids with this generation, but backstory. All right. One of my homegirls, she has a little sister that's in high school, and the sister went out on her first date sometime last year. She's like 15, 16. So they went to the movies. They went to dinner, then they went to the movies, and they came back home. She came back, and we were like, hey, so what happened on the date, this and that? We being nosy. You know what I'm saying? That's a little sister. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, well, we went out to dinner. I paid for dinner. Then we went to the movies, and I paid for the movies. And then we came back, and I paid for the Uber to get home, too. And I was just like, yo, what? I'm definitely living in the wrong generation, because ain't no way in hell.
No.
Yo, that's crazy to me. That happened.
Find you another simp.
This generation is ass backwards. But I mean, hey, if the females, I mean, this is pretty much where we are in society as a whole too. It's like women empowerment. Women are just like, hey, I don't need you, this and that. But sometimes back in the day when our parents were growing up, most of the men were like, I don't need you, but you need me because I'm the leader, I'm the provider. So you need me. And now it's gotten to the point where I feel like it's almost equal or switching in the phase
Oh,
of switching.
we 100% can blame Destiny's Child for this. Oh yeah,
All
you
the
already know what I'm talking about. Yep, you already know. And then hold on, oh I ain't done yet. And then you fast forward a couple years later, and then you could just solely blame Beyonce, who run the world. And now look where we at. I ain't hating on the independent women. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but just understand this part. Equality was asked for, equality was given. You don't get just the good parts of equality, you also get the bad.
Oh, fucking right.
So understand that that includes, hey, if we go on a date, hey, that means you might have to drop that credit card on the table too, and you might have to pay for dinner, and that's okay.
Shout out to my
But don't
girlfriend
get
by the way, because I went out with her this weekend and she paid for everything. After I paid for everything last time we was together. It's a partnership. It's really a partnership now.
that's how it's supposed to be. Me and my wife are the same way. Like I will go out, or whether we go out with the family or just her and I go out, and it's like she'd be like, she'll pay, and then she'd be like, no, I invited my babe to lunch, so I want to make sure I pay for lunch, and I'm like, well, damn, let me put my debit card back in the pocket real quick. My bad.
I'm never gonna be mad about it.
Hell no, I'm shit. But me being me, I'm gonna flip around and go put that money in her gas tank and fill it up anyway. So, so it's like the money gonna get spent one way or another. But I'm happy where I'm at. So I love it. But that's why I wanted to bring that, because when it was brought to my attention, I was like, oh yeah, I was like, yeah, that's gonna be the real talk for the day, because this whole 2000, just everything is happening in this modern, we'll say modern era, because unfortunately you and I are a part of it too, because we caught the infancy stages of it
Yeah.
with the dating apps, with we're not even gonna say Tinder yet. We just starting with eHarmony, Plenty of Fish, all that shit. Then you get into the Tinders and the Bumbles. Yeah, but like, that's what I'm saying. But like, so you get into all that, and then you look at now, why is there so much social anxiety? Because now you can't even, most people nowadays, when you go out with somebody, they can barely make eye contact with you. Shout out to Mrs. Jones taking care of business.
I see it. What's up,
it.
T? I see you, Tanisha. What's going on?
Shout out to you, Miss T, spoiling your king over there. We love to see it. So
Can't even be a Jets fan. He a Prince.
Yeah. So, and then so like I said, so with that, I mean, and I can't, I'm not knocking the dating apps. Like I'm really not. I mean, me and my wife met on Tinder, so there's no confusion.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of those things. A lot of people.
I haven't his girlfriend met on Tinder too.
Yeah. So like I said, me and my wife met on Tinder. We met during the pandemic. You knew the situation I was in prior to all those things, so we ain't got to deep dive into all that.
By the way, if you don't know the situation he was in, go check out the episode on Gentleman's Talk, the GQ bomb.
You'll understand.
You'll understand.
But it's all good in the world. Like I said, I'm glad it happened. And it ended up, like I said, it worked out. She, I've been blessed. I got my beautiful daughters here. Got a teenager sitting in the back there. I think she's asleep, hell, or she on the phone doing whatever it is teenagers do these days.
10, 12.
I got nothing. And then of course I got everybody's favorite little terrorist is already knocked out for the night. So, man, it's 10 o'clock. She better be asleep. The fuck. You know the game. You used to be over here all the time. You know how the game go.
I'm still over there all the time.
Yeah. So we was not going down that road. All right. She was going to sleep. Damn it.
My girl probably wondering where I'm at. She where Uncle Mike at? Why he ain't here?
No, she sleep. Snoring. I had to turn the volume down on the monitor because she's snoring so loud. She over here. She snore like Darth Vader.
Oh my God. You know what? Let's go ahead and wrap this.
Oh man. So, oh man, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys checking out the first of many beautiful episodes of Gentlemen's Talk from the Sidelines. And as we
Look out.
start the show, is the same way that we finish the show. Because, as always, and I'll never make sure you forget it, folks, I am the one that your baby mama got named to CVS in a phone because I always got a refill for Mr. GQ.
Oh my God. You know what? I'ma just end this simple. I'm DJ Michael B. Gentlemen's Talk from the Sidelines. We up out of here.